Blackstone Audio presents Words Without Music, a Memoir by Philip Glass. This book is read by Lloyd James. For my children, Juliet, Zach, Cameron, and Marlo. Opening. If you go to New York City to study music, you'll end up like your Uncle Henry, spending your life traveling from city to city and living in hotels. That was my mother, Ida Glass, when she heard of my plans. I was sitting with her at the kitchen table in my parents' house in Baltimore, having come back home after graduating from the University of Chicago. Uncle Henry, a cigar-smoking bantamweight with a heavy Brooklyn accent, was married to Aunt Marcella, my mother's sister, who herself had escaped from Baltimore a full generation before me. Uncle Henry was, in fact, a drummer. He had dropped out of dental school shortly after the end of World War I to become an itinerant musician, playing for the next 50 years, mainly in vaudeville houses and holiday hotels, and with dance bands all over the country. In his later years he played in the hotels of the Catskills, known then, and actually still now, as the Borscht Belt. He was probably playing in one of those hotels, Grossinger's, I'd bet, at that time in the spring of 1957, when I was planning my future. In any case, I liked Uncle Henry, and thought he was a pretty good guy. Truth be told, I was far from horrified by the prospect of traveling from city to city and living in hotels. I was rather looking forward eagerly to that, a life filled with music and travel, and completely thrilled with the whole idea. And, as it turned out many decades later, my mother's description was completely accurate. As I begin this book, that is precisely what I am doing, traveling from Sydney, on my way to Paris by way of L.A. and New York, and playing concerts all along the way. Of course, that's not the whole story, but it is a significant part of it. Ida Glass was always a pretty smart woman. As a young man, incautious and curious, my head full of plans, I was already doing what I would always do. I had started playing the violin at 6, the flute and piano at 8, begun composing at 15, and now, having finished college, I was impatient to start my real life, which I had known all along would be in music. Since I was very young, I had been drawn to music, felt connected to it, and I knew that it was my path. There had been musicians in the Glass family before, but the general view in my family was that musicians...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?